And we're back. Yeah.
And before our next guest, we have guest.
Guess
our next guest. We have a quick episode of Lucas Through the Looking Glass.
Yeah.
From our sponsor.
No sponsorships.
No sponsorships. Just.
This video is sponsored by War Thunder. War Thunder is no sponsorship.
War Thunder?
Yeah, I just copied like a sponsorship that I see casually. Like,
War Thunder this then.
War
Ready?
Thunder.
On God. On guard. Did I say on God or on guard?
You said on God.
I thought I said on guard. All right, let's pick our word for the day. Now really feel this one out. These things have to like gel right now. Okay, do you know what gel means?
Like
it means they just have to like smooth out. Yeah. So let's get smooth and pick our next angel card.
I'm feeling this one.
What are you feeling?
Dad.
The word is dad?
No.
Oh.
We've gotten this card before on previous recording.
Resilience. Forgiveness.
Actually, have we?
I don't know that we've ever gotten forgiveness.
I remember.
Wait, maybe we did? Whoa. What does forgiveness mean to you, Lucas?
I'm surprised you're mad. I'm surprised.
I'm not mad. I forgive you, bro.
No, I meant to say I'm surprised your glasses aren't fogging up.
No, I think forgiveness makes me like calm. I think when my glasses are fogging up, it means I'm stressed.
They're literally fogging up right now.
Don't even try and psych me out, bro. But I forgive you. What does forgiveness mean to you, Sir Lucas?
Okay, we're doing the like interview thing now.
It's a little too interviewy?
No. I like it.
Okay, well, just for like a moment, maybe tell us what you think forgiveness is.
Forgiveness is like say we're battling and like you're like.
So let's say we're battling.
And then like get your arm.
Ow!
I forgive you. Just
wait! I forgive you, bro. You hit me.
Yeah.
Wait, you forgive me for hitting me? Wait. Yeah. I think we need Luciana of Light to explain what forgiveness is.
Yeah.
I think we're getting a little confused.
I think we're getting a little too confused.
All right, should we try and summon her?
Yes.
Okay.
There's some
Are you okay?
Anomalies in this room right now.
Are there anomalies in this room right now?
That's an anomaly.
Well,
I do not remember that.
Okay, well, there is one anomaly we want in this room right now. Let's summon Luciana of Light. Luciana of Light, could you please tell us what forgiveness means?
Forgiveness.
There she is.
Forgiveness is the magic trick your heart performs when it needs to let go of the weight it never needed to carry. It's not forgetting. It's not pretending it didn't happen. It's saying, I choose not to be tangled anymore. Forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. It's the spell that clears the mirror so you can see your joy again. Also, your glasses fog up when your aura is doing math. So take it as a good sign.
Wait, Dad. The second it when I put my glasses up, what did it say?
It said you're about glassing up, fogging glasses thing.
Yeah, the second I put them up, there's some weird things going on.
But Lucas, on a serious note, right now, what she said.
What?
Like, please forgive me sometimes because sometimes I know I make mistakes as your dad.
Yeah, no, you're right. I forgive you.
Thanks, buddy.
I forgive you much.
What? Enjoy our next guest.
Liquid Bliss Worldwide.
I know how much you have to tell us. I can feel it.
So much to tell you.
I
will tell you that the background is not quite as cool because I am in a hotel room, my friend.
Oh yeah, where are you? You said you might be on the road. Where are you? Is this from the illicit Palisades fires? You're in a hotel room, or are you traveling?
It is from the illicit Palisades fires.
Yes, yeah. Alisha survived. Well, I mean, there's no jokes. I'm not trying to bring the energy down. It's just, but yeah. So you had to go through that. LA is going through that. You're going through that. My teacher, who's been like my, I guess, shaman, for lack of a better word, his house is in Altadena, right at the foot of the mountains there. And his is the one house that survived, but it's toxic. So he's in a hotel too.
Yeah.
So let's, okay, we'll,
and we can, I can share about that because there's lots of spiritual.
I was going to say,
lessons.
yeah, let's do that. Let's start right in on that. I'm going to do the thing. I watched your podcast with Marianne Williamson, and so I love how you pray beforehand, before each podcast. It was a pretty recent
Which one did you like? Oh, the recent one. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got lucky because it's right before she ran for the DNC, so we got to talk about
good.
Politics.
But what I toned in on was the prayer beforehand. How you, I'm like, oh yes, we're here. Let's do this, and then we'll draw angel cards, and then we'll get into the story. Okay. So, all right, you ready? I'll do it.
Ready. All right. I love it.
Oh God, this is such a good day. We're here and we are gathered, and there is love and information and frequencies and transmissions that will be coming upon us today. Alisha has been through I'm so excited. God, universe, source, but let's just say, God, thank you, man, for this great day that's going to happen. And let's go. Amen.
Amen.
Right.
Amen.
Right,
your calling in the light is as cool as your background.
All right. So we're so excited because like our angel cards are very special to us. We each draw a word before each guest, and it's just one word in here. And I feel like you coming in now, we're finally going to understand these angel cards, which have been in my life since 1991. But this is the angel day. So we're so excited. So I'm going to draw, or Stephen will draw one first.
We just did an angel card with someone who was pregnant, and she pulled out the word expectancy.
They're good.
Twice in a row.
What'd you get?
I got the same one I got last time. Risk. Something's telling me something.
Yeah. And so I don't know what it is, Alisha. You and I'll have to figure this out with this guy today. He's pulled risk twice, and I didn't see it. I don't know where it tied in with our guest last week.
I'm living it right now.
And now that he calls it in again, I think we'll get to the bottom of it before the end of this episode.
Twice in a row. How many cards are
so
in
we'll
there?
tease that. Why does Stephen keep getting risk? Oh, it's going to be so fun getting to know each other. Okay, you're up, Alisha. Tell me when to stop. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it.
Now.
Okay. Your word for today is celebration. Okay. That's right on the nose. You who can see the... Do you want to show her in the camera? Or so she believes us? She believes us. Where can she see it?
Believe you, my friends.
But they are very cute. You know why I like these? Because they're the cutest little angels ever. I should give a shout out to the... Yeah. All right. And then my word will be this one. Okay. Presence. Probably a gifts, but this is like the presence of God kind of presence, like being present, presence. All right, guys. Those are just such fantastic words. I'm going to say they're all your words today, because once we get into who you are and what you're about, I think everything has kind of been calling. I think these words are all chosen by you. You're doing a little trickster move on us. So you want Stephen to deal with risk. You want me to stay present, and you're ready to celebrate.
Sounds good to me. And we're all one. So I think they're all of our words.
First, let's
when he was asked how he got along with others, his answer. There are no others.
There are no others. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm going to make good on what I said. Let's start though with the thick of what happened to you during this turbulent time that we didn't see coming, but I guess we always saw coming on some levels. Go for it.
Yeah, we were talking about booking, and I think that week, it's just like everything went up in flames and chaos in LA. And how did you get through all that?
Well, actually, both through risk, presence, and celebration, eventual celebration. Because I've been a lifelong spiritual devotee, intuitive, been a professional intuitive for decades now. And so that's really the value of spiritual practice and focus is when can I say shit gets real? When shit gets real.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Fuck yeah. Yeah. When shit gets real, you don't have time to think about how you're going to respond. But if you have the habitualness of this is for me, I don't know how, I don't even have that faith right now, but my inner predilection is this is for me. And so then you go forward and you do what has to be done. I literally ran through flames and drove through flames. I literally got trapped up in Palace. I'll tell you the quick story because it will give, our listeners, we all run through our fires of purification. This was mine and this was LA's. And so I feel like I represent LA right now. And I've done several events since then to support LA spiritually. And it's so aware. I'm so aware that all of LA is through each person whose house is in ashes, who ran through the fires, et cetera. So I live in the Palisades Highlands. There is one way in and out of the Palisades Highlands.
Yeah.
It is a mountain, one road in and out. There is a fire road. The fire road is where the fire started. Okay. So now there is one way in and out. And we have a lot of fires up there, but they're forest fires. They're small. They're out in a couple hours. So that's what we thought it was. So we usually they don't even tell us to evacuate until the fire's been going for 3 or 4 hours, right? The fire been going for half an hour, maybe an hour. And they were not telling us to evacuate at all. My son panicked and took off in his car and said he was going to the fire road. We didn't know where the fire was. And
How old's your son?
So my son is 26.
Gotcha. Keep going.
And he's a musician who is now getting a master's in music business. So he moved back in. He had moved out, but he moved back in because, to be a musician, it's hard to make a living these days, which he does, but it's hard to pay LA rent. So he moved back in while he's getting his master's in music business. So anyway, he took off to go to the fire road. Of course, I jumped in the car to follow him to try to get him back from the fire road. But there's now people are panicking because there's smoke everywhere. We don't even know where the fire is, by the way. And so, but we know the fire road is a bad idea. So I go follow him. There's one fire truck there. Right. And the fire is worse than you see it on TV. One of those rare occasions where it's actually worse than on the news. So anyway, I can't find him. I turn around to go down Palisades Drive, which is where I figure he went. There are 100 cars, abandoned cars on Palisades Drive. We cannot get through, but we can't see that they're abandoned. We can't see anything. So I have COVID, by the way. I had COVID at that time. It was the first day of COVID. So I was feverish and tired and I was wearing slippers. I got out of my car and ran through those cars to try to find my son. 2 miles of flames on either side, of explosions, of black smoke. But the mother, you have kids. I listened to a little bit of your podcast with your 7-year-old.
Oh, with
8-year-old?
Lucas, my 8-year-old Lucas.
Yeah. So sweet. And so I was running through the cars, I got all the way to Sunset. There's a wall of flame on Sunset already. We're trapped. So the firemen, who are God's angels on earth, said, you have to go back to your car and go back to your home. And I said, not without my son. They said, you understand, you're going to die if you don't get back in your car and go back home. I'm like, where the fire is? Because the fire started a mile from my home. And they said, we'll figure it out. Go back, get in your car. Right. There was not that many words. It was more like, go. Right. So I got in my car, went back to my home. Now I'm trapped up there because there's one way in and out. Right. And the fire is raging. Thank God there was just a little bit of cell service because everybody's on their cells now. Right. And nobody told us to evacuate still. Right. And so thank God my son gets through and he's gotten out.
Oh,
we don't even know how. It's a miracle. I don't even know. We still don't know how he got out, but he had gotten out. And so now I can sort of relax as much as one can relax being trapped. And I was talking to him mostly to calm him down. I didn't even have the presence of mind to pack
You ever
anything.
felt that way before? Have you ever felt trapped like that before in life? I can't imagine. Like I've never had that dire where, you are, it's pure survival mortality, right?
It's pure survival mortality. No, I haven't. I don't. Well, I used to have severe asthma attacks. So perhaps when you can't get that next breath.
Interesting.
I felt that.
Huh.
And so, but again, it's that habitualness of spiritual practice. see, we're multidimensional. There's a part of me
Right.
that's freaking out. There was a part of me that was completely
I didn't want to
calm.
go there, but was there a part of you observing yourself freaking out?
Yes. Yes. There was a part of me observing myself. And so I just had faith. And so then there was this abstruse text now saying Palisades Drive is now open to monitored traffic. I don't know what that means. I have no idea. I get in my car and go screeching down, screeching. Now everybody's trying to get down Palisades Drive. I start, tears now flow because I see that our angel firefighters have bulldozed the cars out of the way.
Yes.
There are explosions still on either side. There's flames across the road. The road's completely broken up. And I open both windows because I'm like, do I drive through the flames? And those firefighters, they were standing there with flames all around. And they said, go, go. And I have experienced that before where I put my faith in them and I drove through the flames and I got out.
Wow.
Yeah. And the only other time I have felt that where I put all my faith in another human being was when I was giving birth. And unbeknownst to me, so it was a midwife at a natural birthing center. Unbeknownst to me, I was in a very dangerous situation. I had been in labor for 40 hours, unmedicated, 2 hours of pushing. And I looked in her eyes and I looked in her eyes, and what looked back from her eyes was every woman who'd ever given birth. And I said, Nancy, can I do this? Because he wasn't moving. And she said, yes. And I put all my faith in what came through her. And he came out on the next push. And she told me later that if he hadn't come out, she already had an ambulance on the way because he was stuck. And he came out. So it was that, like, everything coming through one person. That's why, guys, there's not time for us to mess around. We have to be conduits of God, because who knows when we'll be that firefighter.
Let's get into that. Yes. So you,
I know.
So
I think we need to pause a second. I mean, that was intense.
Yeah, it really is.
And you probably, I mean, coming out of that, I can't imagine what's going through your mind the next few days of just, you're probably thinking through everything again and again and again. And how do you kind of ground yourself after all that and get back to?
There's a lot to do.
There's so much to do. It is literally a full-time job. But I must tell you, there's been miracles. So one of those miracles is the fire started, as you just heard, at my home, right, in the Highlands, and that fire went 3 miles down to Sunset in a half hour. So this is a huge, it's a super fire. It's a massive fire.
Yeah.
I kept seeing this teardrop of protection around my home. Now, there's no rational reason my home would survive. I kept seeing this teardrop of protection. And at one point, 2 or 3 days in, we don't know what's still standing, what's not, right? We don't know. We don't even know. We had evacuated to Venice. We don't even know if we're going to have to evacuate again. And I have just written a book that took me my entire lifetime to write, called Your Angelic Ancestry, which is how we connected, right? Because Gail was my agent, and now Gail. And I said to the angels, by the way, the final copy I had turned in a day before the fire, and I said to the angel, I said to Michael, Archangel Michael, please don't take my house. I worked my whole life. I bought that house by myself. I said, please don't take my house. And what I heard him say is, you gave everything to write that book, because it's edgy. It is risky. Our shared word here. And he said, we're surrounding it in a teardrop. And if I showed you that fire map, it's all red. It's all red, meaning burned, 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 burned. There is one teardrop shape of pink, which means intact. My home is in the middle of that teardrop.
Wow.
Intact.
Yeah. So I think that's what you mean when you say we need to be conduits of God. Is that how you worded it? Conduits, I know, is how you worded it. And that feels like that's an example and a moment of how that works, right? When that's the combination of a totally human, a woman scared, a human terrified and pleading out, and being met by this emergence almost inside herself that shows her she's this conduit, and it connects to an angelic presence, or it connects to a plant medicine if you're in a ceremony, or it connects to the hum underneath the hum. It's that same energy. And the mythos of Archangel Michael and your relationship to all of these angelic beings, naming them, especially the fact that that naming process, I think that's that conduit stuff. It's like a naming, it's like an initiation, and it's mixed with this humanness, because you're not an angel, you're a human. And that combination is potent. And that the fire, when you're the most human, it's like he comes in this exact way, and it's a teardrop. And so like, as far as like really bringing it out to like how people can understand what that means where we are right now, because I agree, 2025, we're not messing around anymore. It's like you are a conduit, and you're meant to be very, very human and very, very connected to that nature, that hum beneath the hum, whether it be angels or whatever your thing is. It's that part of you that's alchemic and understands that. And here's the evidence: synchronicities, right? The synchronicities are what the evidence is. So I'm with you on that. And it's just amazing to have you in, because honestly, that fire thing, I didn't mean to pry, but I'm like, literally, like, there's nothing more pain. You've never been that scared, right? And that like feral.
No. Yeah. 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 And, but and I love that. I love the hum beneath the hum. And oh my gosh, this is so perfect that I'm with you guys today, because my passion, so I'm half Indian, half English, half Hindu, half Christian, really spiritual, right? Because it's all, my big passion is all paths are one. All paths lead to the same place, love. Can we stop being divisive and arguing about God, spirit, universe, the hum, right?
Yeah.
Can we not realize we're talking about the same thing? And there was someone just last few days who was like, I've been creatively told I was going to hell by both Christians and non-Christians, and I'm not sure how that works. And so that person I had, they were.
If you end up there, I'll hang out with you for a while. I'll hang with you for a while. I got a trickster energy. I can handle both realms. I'll go down there with you. Awesome. You won't be alone.
Well, absolutely, and ultimately there is no there, right? It's all love. That's the only place there is, right? We can traverse there, but it's of our own making, right? Not that it's not also a tester.
In our humanness, it is interesting though, because this does feel like a form of hell at certain points. So the hell we experience probably is in this life, and it is like a consequential, like,
Which
man.
Is, this is why, like, one of the topics I want to explore on this show is just the concept of radical love. Like, what does that mean to you? Just not just love, but radical love.
Oh, I love that. And I want, by the way, the angels to answer why you keep getting risk.
Perfect. I know.
Before we end this show.
Oh yeah, that's our tease for the whole show.
Yeah, stay tuned to the end.
Yes, we'll find out exactly why Stephen keeps getting risk, why we all keep getting risk, why we are in a state of risk, not just the fires in so many ways. And radical love is exactly what we're talking about, that multidimensionality where we wrap our arms around ourselves and say, sweetheart, we don't go, it'll all work out. Yes, of course it will. But also in the meantime, you're shaking. You're talking to if we all just take a second, if we can, and just like connect to your inner child, to your humanity, like put a hand on your heart and push down and feel your humanity under your hand. This is God's spirit, the hum universe too. This is holy. This is sacred ground. Bend a knee to yourselves as the angels bend a knee to you. And you just say, gosh, I hear you're hurting. I hear you're haunted. I hear you're challenged. I'm so here for you. and you're wrapped in radical love, and I accept every negative thought, every shitty thing we've done.
Yeah.
I accept it all because I did the best I could with what I knew. All of us, every single person, no matter what they did the best they could with what they knew. And so, like, let's just as one say, I forgive it all.
I forgive it all. I forgive it all.
Yes.
Yes. And just breathe in that love. It's big enough to forgive it all.
It was
That
nuts.
is radical love.
Yesterday, it was nuts. I was realizing how old patterns are still, they're an echo, right? We're human. So the old patterns are there. But there is a huge emergence that's come over me where it's very fascinating that, like, you know, you can actually forgive yourself for some things. But there was work to be done. And I work with my own, I don't know what are they, guides? I don't know what we call them. The word's always changing at this point. But it was this idea that there is like a huge emergence, a birth of where everything kind of like is in full. I feel good. I feel whole. I feel abundant. I feel aligned. And it's okay because that humanness is this echoey kind of like, it's like when my cat was like trying to sneak out of this door I had opened. I didn't open it. I opened it all the way at first because I wanted air in, but then I was getting involved with my writing. So I shut the door. So there was just a sliver open. I could still get some air, and she was like pretty far away, the cat, but I had to keep an eye on it because I knew in like 5 minutes, lo and behold, she's about ready to get through that little sliver. Right. And that's what it feels like. It feels like an emergence, maybe for everyone, even in 2025, where like we are outside in a new realm. Where that door is open and we are out there, but there's still this sliver from the old pattern, the old realm that like comes in. And that's like what it feels like to have to forgive ourselves of right now, are these parts of ourselves. I mean, you've been in this game for so long, right? And as many miracles as unfold daily, there's still that like, you know, life is doing what it does. I guess I'm talking to myself here, but like to accept that, to forgive ourselves and to allow the humanness to be in full effect. All right, I'll stop talking.
I know. No, I want to underline her point, though, on I forgive it all. Because if you just think about that for a moment and just sit with that. I mean, we're talking about radical love. I think that's a huge component of that. You can't go on without doing that, I don't think. I mean, you can't. If you're exploring radical love, that's a step that's got to be made in that process.
It's the same thing, forgiveness and love. You can't have radical love without radical forgiveness, right?
I think there are probably multiple components to radical love, and like there's humility, I think, like radical humility, radical awe that are a part of it. But this radical, I forgive it all, is also this other part of this. And this is why I like exploring this, because I feel like there's these different elements that go in there. And when you just ponder each of these, you kind of really quickly, I feel like you get into that place where you can actually feel that sense of that radical love. And so that's why I love, just bringing it up and talking with different people and getting their perspective on it. And just, I really wanted to underline what she was saying because it felt very, very true. Okay.
Yes. No, it's true. And the thing is it's an assumption. And it is a radical assumption that we are all divine, and the divine mystery is unfolding. And this whole passion play of life, in which we do have very human, it never stops. I don't think. I've been privileged to be around yogis and gurus and thought leaders quite a bit. And it never stops. They question, they have negative thoughts, they do strange things, right? Because God, spirit, whatever we want to call it, was brave enough to individuate through us to learn through it all. So how can we judge it? And yet we do. Not to get biblical on you, because for me,
it's almost our default mode is almost people's default mode is to constantly judge it.
The momentum of this level is down pulling. It's negative. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. It is down pulling. And so from those I'm going to use this analogy, from those ashes, we've got to rise up into our higher selves and go, I think that I know enough to judge, but the reality is I do not. I'm not that smart.
Yeah.
Right? If I could get above it and look at all the karmic intricacies, then I could judge. But of course, if I could do that, I wouldn't judge anything, because there's nothing going on here but God learning about love through us.
God learning about God.
Radical. God learning about God, which is love. And that's the radical love. To me, it's radical love that the divine incepted itself through us individually and gave us free choice. What the heck? I don't know that I'd entrusted us to free choice.
Yeah,
and
right.
Right. That's radical. And yet the divine did, not knowing if we'd return. And you go, well, God must know everything. Well, yes, but not on the level that God is
well, and I feel like what
to us.
God knows is that what has to be is the unknown. That's what he knows.
Yeah.
It's like anything known feels kind of like the old way, right? Like it's in the unknown that that God expressed. That's the whole point. We have to have the free will because he has to surprise himself. God has to surprise himself. That's the fun, right? So we have this scary kind of situations and we live this human life and we're fully immersed. And then sometimes we wake up inside the dream, right? The dreamer awakens in the dream and we see it for what it is, but yet we're still human. We're still here to surprise ourselves. And yeah, I think that's what I've been thinking about lately.
Yeah, beautiful. And the thing is that's why when I started doing my work, like for me, my heart and soul is as a spiritual intuitive, but I also got a doctorate in counseling and I got lots of life coaching certifications and degrees in psychology as well, so that I didn't do a spiritual bypass, because we have to address the whole being. Yes, the ultimate is, of course, absolutely to penetrate the mystery and live from the seventh chakra
Explain
up.
that term, spiritual bypass. I love that term, and I know our listeners are going to be new for a lot of them. So explain what a spiritual bypass is. What that looks like.
A spiritual bypass is when, like, if I go, like if I were right now, there's tons to deal with the fires. Right. I can give you a recent example of a spiritual bypass. So of course, there's a lot to deal with even though our homes, those whose homes is, of course, there's a lot to deal with if your home is not intact, but even the ones that are intact, we may not get back for a year. We have to enter in hazmat suits. So, and then there's insurance, et cetera. So I was on another podcast a couple of days ago, and then somebody sent me this video, because of course it rained. They sent this video of Palisades Drive, my street being a complete river of mud, which means now my home could be sliding down the hill. I don't know.
God.
So you know what I did? I went, it'll be okay. And I went right on preparing for the podcast. And then I went, wait just a darn minute. Jesus.
Okay.
I was bypassing my own, Jesus Christ, what's going on? I bypassed that and was like, you're fine. Right.
So that's what to be looking out for when you're bypassing them that way, because we are minded that way.
Or we go to somebody who's, going through something and they're crying and we're like, it's for the best.
That's a spiritual bypass. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Because ultimately, is it for the best? Of course. But we've got to hold their humanity and address our own humanity. Be present. You got presence.
Yeah.
Be present and go, okay, I've got to take accountability, take authority over my own reactions, my human reactions, not deny them, and then rise up into the spiritual. Otherwise, you have, a Rajneesh who has 18 Rolls Royces, and you have the priests who are violating the children because they're not addressing their humanity.
No, I guess it's all one big spiritual bypass sometimes. It was interesting. Yesterday, when I was talking about that idea of emerging into some new place, but the echo of the old patterns come in, it was this chance of forgiveness. So to stick with the forgiving it all, I've been pretty good at, hacking the consciousness game and whatnot over my 50 years. This is who I am. I'm pretty good about, I can manifest abundance and stuff like that. I kind of go there. I figured that out. I know the scientific rules around it and I've experienced it. But I realized the funniest part with me is like, I've always grown up like not liking my body, right? Like feeling overweight or heavy. And I was looking back at pictures of when I'm like 20 years old and I'm so pretty. I'm so beautiful. But even then I remember thinking like, oh no, this is a horrible thing. And it's the conditioning of like society, parents, whatever it all is, right? And it's funny because when I'm on point, I love how I'm eating. I'm like doing this intermittent fasting, but it's all on kind of my own will, right? And it's still kind of like, I notice if I'm not eating right, then I'll instantly go somewhere like kind of dark, right? And how much am I ever really relying on like an authentic experience with what's going on with me and weight? It's like, I don't want to be forgiven of weight or whatever that would even mean. I don't want to just have that be okay, whatever the feeling was around it. Yesterday, I was able to have it come in this new way. And I was feeling like this whole, drop it all, right? Drop the fat, drop it all. It's an energetic thing, right? And it's also not a way to identify. I can't give it enough justice, but something came through that hadn't come through before. Mm-hmm. And it was a release and a forgiveness and something that was authentically there, right? It's because it wasn't bypassed. It was felt. It was like, even like my physicality. Hey, I'm an actor, so it comes in that way, right? Like my jaw, like I'm like trying to talk and I'm a little paralyzed because it's like really this whole pain, this whole trauma from wherever it started was finally allowed to emerge. And it was like, I couldn't talk, but I could feel it. And then you cry, then you sob, you feel a little funny and weird and you laugh at yourself a little bit, but something happened. And that seems to be, these echoes are big echoes, don't get me wrong, but they seem to be like what the real thing's all about. Like these are the moments that we have to look at now, like in that fire when you were just like confronted, there's no bypassing there. You have to feel it and be present with it. But then, I don't know, I'll stop talking now, but that was an interesting thing for me yesterday.
I think that's gorgeous. And I think those are the transformational moments where it said spirit meets us at the point of action, right? So you were open, you were willing, you were present, a la presence, and spirit met you and brought the grace in of the awareness and the revelation. And then you get to decide if you'll stay with that and then move forward with that. To me, that was your fire of purification.
And it's another like old pattern kind of goes away. Old energy's kind of cleared out and the new energy comes in and I'm a little extra hyper with Alisha because we're going to talk angels, right? And it's a beautiful thing and you stay grounded and it's human.
Yeah. It is human. And the thing is that's why I love the whole angelic ancestry, because it's really about connecting to it's being that multidimensional self. It's a hack, to use your word, of connecting to our archangelic selves, to our higher selves, to that, Lincoln said that better angels of our nature, even while we're human, even while we're addressing our humanity. So it's really that heaven on earth, and then realizing it's all one,
So tell us how it works, the angelic ancestry, or go ahead, Stephen.
Well, she mentioned the higher purpose, and this is the other like major topic I want to get to on this show, just because that's really what part of this podcast is about for me, is exploring how people find their higher purpose. Can we talk a little bit about how you found yours, and then how you go about helping others find theirs?
Sure. So, I'm still finding my higher purpose and will be until I take my last breath, because I think it's mutable, it's flexible, and we have to be willing to, sometimes it's the wonderful things we're at least willing to sacrifice, but everything has to be sacrificed on the altar of God's calling in that moment. So with that caveat, I will say that really I found my higher purpose when I was 4 years old. I didn't know that was my higher purpose. I do now. So I was experiencing a trauma, and the kind of trauma that makes one a drug addict or a prostitute. It was grievous sexual abuse at the hands of a janitor. But I started talking the way I got through it and was whole and didn't have any, was really kept in alignment, was talking to angels. I saw these monolithic, beautiful archangels all around me and started speaking to them in their own language. So there is an angelic language. And then fast forward, obviously, many, many years, in my early 20s, I did open up. That language then would help me be clairvoyant and know things. But in rural Indiana, you couldn't really tell things to people that you couldn't know, right? They kind of called me a child witch.
Wow.
So, right. Yeah. And until I really was out on my own at 18, then I was able to really fully explore it. So I had this big angelic awakening where the worlds were blurring, where I became almost as aware of the angelic realm as I was of the human realm. And I started hearing the language again. I'd closed it down.
Audible or more like?
Audible, and it's like love, or you like you had your experience where you knew it was real. You didn't exactly know what it was, but you knew it was very real, right? And there was a visceral experience with it.
Physicalized,
so that's how it was physical with me. I heard it. I learned to speak it. And then what it did is it bridged me into the consciousness of the archangels who would go and read the records for me. So I started working with other people first as guinea pigs. And then when too many people wanted to work with me, I started charging for it.
What'd that look like, working with them? You'd read them?
Reading past lives, clearing auras, spiritual counseling, bringing forward messages, helping them connect to their own angelic selves.
So this was your training. This was kind of your initiation and starting point with it when you started working with other people.
This was my initiation. Yes. When I started working with other people, I became an ordained esoteric Christian minister. My path is equally Eastern and Western. Mm-hmm. And then I started adding the degrees and the doctorate and counseling, as I said, to address the whole being. And then I started doing workshops, and I realized, very as sure as I'm sitting here now, but it took going through hundreds and then thousands of people of sharing the information and seeing the sea of nodding heads for me to really trust the information, my own experience, trusted it for myself, but then I started sharing it. And that is that we have, this is radical. You ready for radical? This is
yes.
Radical love and radical information. So it's realizing, so the angelic predated the human by many, many eons and millennia. This is really a latter-day experiment, as many spiritual teachers say, this human thing, right? So the angelic predated, and it's much older. And in my experience, we chose at some point, once we became an archangel, to incarnate into the human level to experience the free choice of humans. And it's very permeable. It's guardian angels, it's archangels, it's right. Did you know that a very scholarly poll by the University of Chicago, can't get more dry and scholarly than that. I can only say that because I'm from the Midwest. They did a recent poll, 2023, 69% of Americans believe in angels.
Yeah.
So that crosses religion, no religion, atheists, etc., believe in angels. Why? Because they're visceral, they're tangible. And so in my experience now, it used to be that we had to drop a thick opaque veil from our angelic presence, lives, etc., because, to live here on this level, which is tough, got its challenges, as we've been talking about, and to compare it to that level where our toughest job is to wear pastel robes and praise God, whom we never forget.
And just radiate.
Just radiate.
Just amplify and radiate and
sing praises and exactly. Right. this pesky free choice stuff. What's the highest good? What's the, what do I do? I don't know. Somebody tell me, God descend on a billboard, right? Yeah, there's none of that there. And so we
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Can I ask you, like, so when they called you witch girl,
yes,
and you had already gone through everything you'd gone through from age 4 up, right? Like maybe,
right.
Like, is there, and I'm really just projecting my own life here. There's, there's something weird about you. You're not enough. You're out there. You're other than. And then and then you went to school to get the PhDs, the doctorates, the degrees, whatever it could take for you to kind of, that's a part that I know needs to be explored with people. Like, I'm a huge fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza and his work, and the meditation, quantum, all of that, which is scientifically backed by UCSD. So all his work was really important for him to have it all based in science, take all the terminology out. We're not talking angels. We're talking about energy centers now. We're talking, we're doing it in this vocabulary, right? Like he says, science is the modern day language of the mystic. So that's great. And it helps me too. I love being able to present it, knowing that it has that kind of backing, because it matters to me too, because I was a little bit wounded back then. I don't know that it matters to me now. I feel pretty whole from it, but was that part of it? Is that part of it? Is that a old paradigm that we have to worry about, where you had to justify? Was it more to yourself? Was it helpful with other people? Was it to try to fit in? Like, what was that about when you were like, I'm now going to maintain, or is that just a human thing? Did it come? You know what I'm asking.
It was twofold. So I actually was a very long time 20 years for practicing spiritual intuitive before I went and got all the degrees. The reason, but it is twofold, which I'll get to. The first part is that the reason I went and got all the degrees and studied psychology is because I saw people doing spiritual bypass.
Oh, okay.
Right? On the inner circles. I went, I don't want to do that. I want to address the whole being, and I want to help my clients and students address the whole being. That's why I went and got all the degrees. That's the first reason. The second reason is because I have a rare disease in my family, which is that, seriously, it's pretty serious. Everybody is an MD. My parents met a cadaver, right? That's very romantic.
That's fascinating.
Every freaking body is an MD.
So it was destiny.
It was what I was even pre-med. And so I have this scientific background. I want empirical evidence. I want measurable change. I want it to be backed in. I don't resist that. I love it. I'm not a skeptic. I don't worship the mind, but I do worship the bridging where the worlds converge.
But there was no validation to it. You didn't need to be validated. Like, for me, it was like, I have always felt this need to be validated for like my crazy revelations from God, or were they manic episodes, or were they, it's like, I was curious about that part with, if that played into it all, but it doesn't sound like it.
I could go toe to toe with anybody on needing validation. You too, my friend. No, but I didn't get validated that way. That really was an added on to, so that I could, how I look for my validation, how I did and how I still do, is through spiritual teachers, is through, I have these weird ideas. Now, this book, it presents all these ideas, and it's in a very cogent way. And I do have scientific backing with it a bit, but it's really looking for people to not, not call me a witch woman now, or to not, because I present angels in a radically different way. Then I think we have a fourth angel card, which is radical.
I think the angel deserves a card. Yeah, let's give the angel a card today. At least one angel. We could do 3 more, one for each of our angels. But let's just at least do one. Tell me, how about we all say when to stop collectively? Okay. Stop.
Stephen and I said it exactly the same time.
All right, then that doesn't count. There's this acting game.
Why doesn't it count?
Check this out, guys. Check this out. I didn't say it though. No, check this out. There's this game you play in acting. It's the best ever. It's to connect people. You have a group of like 10 people, right? It's your students for the day. You have to count 1 to 10. But if someone jumps in and we all collectively have to get to 10 without jumping on each other's word. It has to be this organic, like 1, 2, 3, that kind of thing. And you have to start over if 2 people say 5.
What's the purpose of it?
Well, what happens is, and I think Alisha could get this, it totally connects us. because it's not that hard to get to 10. We just feel it out. Is it my time to open my mouth and say a word? And you just do. Some people say 2 at a time. It's a fascinating one. So we have to do it. Like you said, the angel card has to come from all 3 of us saying now at the same time. Deal,
if this
Alisha?
goes on too long and we aren't getting it, we can edit it out.
See, Steven? See how Steven gets, Alisha? Alisha knows I'm onto something here, right? Like, if we're going to experientially do it, let's do it.
I'm empathizing with the audience right now.
See how his brain's in the audience? And Alisha and I, we're present, brother.
Oh, I know.
All right.
There is another person here, and I am inviting them into.
I could ditch it. What do you think, Alisha? Should we bypass it and not do it? And just here's the angel card right here. Here's the angel's card. It's joy.
You got to do it now, but Joe.
All right, we'll bypass it. It's joy, because that wasn't a bypass, because the trickster says, you know what I mean? It all works perfectly. So the angel says joy right now. The angel says joy right now. So we didn't take a risk. Stephen didn't want to take the risk of losing the audience there. So we didn't have to. But here's the thing, right, Alisha?
I was like, we can edit it out.
We can edit it out, which he knows we never edit it out. Like, that's our running joke for anyone who's our true fan. He says edit it out. And
we'll edit it out. This always stays.
Some people do a spiritual bypass. I need to work on my Stephen bypass. I'm like, no. Like, who do I think I am, Alisha? You know what I mean? 2 best friends here. We're in this. We'll get into that later. So the angel says joy.
We're talking about purpose.
Were we talking about purpose?
We never did talk about purpose. We never got there.
Well,
we never quite got there.
We were getting her history. We got her history, and then we but so we're back to how you found purpose through it all. Okay. And we're back.
How I found purpose through it all. How I still find purpose through it all. My purpose, I heard my angelic name. So you do have so archangels have one name through all their lifetimes. Humans, we have many, many names, right? So angels embody once. They always create the same body, but they incarnate many times, but they always have the same name. Humans are the opposite. We embody many different times. We incarnate once. So when I heard my angelic name at 24, I think I was, right? It really started this whole angelic awakening. And when I heard that name and I heard the angelic language that went with it, I realized it was about bridging the angelic and the human. Now, that is a purpose that I keep discovering. It's not just about, because at some point, really, who cares if we're angels or human or what that means? That's my purpose, but really what it's about is bridging heaven on earth. And it's understanding that we are angelic. We are always in divine remembrance, always remembering God's spirit, the hum, even as we still navigate this level, being sovereign with our free choice, because angels don't have free choice until they're an archangel. And I believe they don't come incarnate here until they become an archangel, because we do have free choice here, right? But as we open up to our angelic consciousness, now we have that divine remembrance, that radical mysticism, as well as our sovereign human co-creative spirit. That is my higher purpose. And so I think we find purpose as we go in deep. And it's so funny because I've helped thousands of people with this. And a lot of times, myself included, we don't even like our higher purpose. I want my purpose to be God consciousness. I want my purpose, right? And yet when you really get on that, you go to that's the breath I breathe. That's who I am. And no one's purpose is higher than another, in my opinion. Yeah. I think we're all fulfilled to the extent that we're living God, spirits, the hum's life for us.
And there is that trickster energy that comes back with like, what do you mean? You don't have to have a purpose. We're just existing. We're already existing. That alone is a purpose. Like this idea that, because honestly, there's a hierarchy to what you're saying. Like somehow you have to have a higher purpose or you're not fulfilled in the present moment. Like the higher purpose is to be fulfilled in the present moment. And that's it. Everything else after that, you're pulled. But can you define it? I don't know. I just want to be pulled.
I don't know if it's a hierarchy, but maybe a holarchy.
I like holarchy. I like holarchy. I like that.
More of a wholeness of you.
I just don't want to create any kind of lack. Like somehow like my wife's so into like, it drives her batty, this idea of trying to find some kind of higher purpose or passion. And all she is higher purpose and passion when I look at her. So and I just say that like, I'm a little like protective of like, because I know every podcast you want to ask that higher purpose stuff. And that's what your IICMO is all about. At the same time, as much as I get where you're coming from, I want to also put out there that like, just by existing as a human, we are in that purpose. Like I don't think we can fuck this up. I don't think we can make mistakes.
Well, it's both and. I feel like your marriage counselor now. It's both and, my partner's here. Because yes, and we don't want to beat ourselves up with our higher purpose. It's common and that's very unnecessary. But you see, I think it's both and. Our higher purpose as a collective is to wake up. That is it. End of story. There is no fuck up. It is to wake up to our divine nature. That's it. You're right. You do that. You sit in that presence of being awake to God. You are serving the entire planet. The entire planet rises as one rises. I fully believe that because we're one. So it's both and. Yes, that is our full purpose. And we're individuals. God is learning through each of us. So we're multifaceted, we're many facets of one diamond. And each facet has a particular sparkle that when we're on it, we go, this is what I'm here to teach and exemplify and be. So it's both and.
Keep going on that. More, please.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to put it me, but of course it's, as I, Stephen, is it Dominic or Dominique?
Dominic. I like Dominique too. I get both.
I like both. I like that too. So as anyone wake up to my particular facet and go, this is what I'm to teach this lifetime, right? We do have an overarching higher purpose for all lifetimes, but this lifetime, this is my higher purpose. Realizing that I'm going to get attached to that higher purpose, and it's going to shift and morph and be it's going to get overtaken by the silence that just overtook me, and that's the collective purpose. That presence is the collective purpose. Nothing to do, just to be in that presence, right? That's the collective purpose. And individually, we also have our dharma, something that pulls us forward. We have our karma, which is frankly our lack pushing us. What do I have to work out, right? At some point, we've worked out enough karma where we go, now what? And at some point, then we hang out in that media race, in that limbo, and then love, dharma, our higher purpose, starts to pull us forward. And that's when we start to share from that higher self, from that presence. And that's our higher purpose.
And I want to apologize to you, Stephen, because I sincerely mean I always am about a higher purpose. That's everything for me. I just was realizing that lately, like, I want to see that other side of like, it's not about getting somewhere.
Point from where you're at to where she's talking about that journey to get to that love, I think. And people don't know, what's my journey? What's my path? I mean, that's where I'm seeing, and that's where I feel people, they sense something in their lives. Like there's something there that I'm supposed to be, and they're just not comfortable with it. And they just can't find that. And they're sitting in that state all the time. Which is very uncomfortable. And
I think that's what Alicia's talking about, though. They're when you say, would you say, how'd you word it? They have this slight instinct of something. She's saying waking them up is the purpose. For them to wake up is the purpose to their divinity.
To get to where she's talking about. And I think there's 1,000 paths to that, right? There's all these different paths to get there. And people are like, well, which one is mine? And they're stuck, right, without taking the steps toward that. And I think stuck's probably the best word for that, where that people feel that sense in themselves because they aren't there and they aren't sure, how do I get there?
What do you mean by there? Waking up? They haven't woken up yet.
To love, to that oneness, to that thing that fills you with so much energy that, you feel that passion in life and what you're doing, and suddenly you found your purpose kind of thing.
And here's the weird thing is, and this is something I struggle with daily still, right? Because as I'm being more in the public eye, I've been really, I've never advertised for many years, wasn't always a mystic, but didn't really seek going out in a bigger way. And until recently I have a 2-book deal with Penguin Random House, with Hay House. And so now I am being put more, I need to be, but it's really a calling. It's very much a calling, and it's not comfortable even for a second. And yet there comes a point, and now I'm going to paraphrase Anais Nin, there comes a point where it becomes more painful to remain coiled in a bud than it becomes to bloom. And it's that blooming that we're talking about, where we each have a higher, let's call it directive rather than purpose, because purpose can sound onerous. We have a higher calling, we have a higher directive, when we follow that, it's so much easier than stopping ourselves. Right?
Yeah, why did purpose bug me so much? I'm so okay with those other two words.
Maybe the word
purpose
calling,
maybe
like
is the word that was kind of like, that was getting the one that was getting a little like, come on, a new word. Directive. I like that. Calling. Yeah. Maybe it's from that purpose-driven life kind of mentality.
Purpose sounds musty, and it sounds like a drag. Calling and also purpose. We feel like we can fuck up purpose. Like, what if I don't achieve purpose?
Yeah.
What
if
I
feels
don't,
like the opposite of that is like damning to
yeah,
you.
thank you. There's a lot of baggage on that for this young soul in front of us. Hear me, Dominic.
I think there is for so many of us, and yet, and it's actually in my book title. But and
the title again. Let's get the full title again.
Your Angelic Ancestry: Discover Your Archangelic Name, Heritage, and Higher Purpose.
Perfect.
And here's the dealio. I didn't want higher purpose in the title. I wanted it to be soulic purpose. I wanted it to be higher calling, as a matter of fact.
Interesting.
And because purpose for many people sounds like something I could miss. Right.
But when I pull my branding hat out, I mean, I can be vulnerable and all that, but it's better. Higher purpose is better.
It is. It's 100% better. It's 100% better. And when you
more searched on Google.
It's more searched on Google. Yeah.
That's it, my friends.
Let's not mince words. I'm a human. I get business.
I love it. And no, but the thing is when we then truly are on our purpose, it is sexy. It is luminescent. It's numinous. It's heavenly.
My higher purpose is to be sexy.
Preach. Let her preach. Keep going.
Well, it's so sexy because it brings us alive. Yeah. It's that thing, what the world needs is more people who are alive. And I think that's why I was called a child witch, and I still get called things, right? Because and we all do, don't we? Right? Because it threatens, and we're all there. We're all on the other side, sometimes being, judgy of somebody.
They're trying to reprogram you. They're trying to reprogram you toward their program. And so don't accept it.
No, yeah, exactly. And it's often we do that when people are really completely alive. And it's scary to be completely alive until it's not, until it's exhilarating, until it's just that presence that comes over us.
So you feel pretty scared, or you feel pretty, where you feel you are most days?
Most days.
Because it's switched from scared, right? It's not scared, but it's definitely a little fear and trembling, like Paul the Apostle, right?
Yeah.
It's unknown.
Oh, that's where am I most days? I'm going to have to go with both and again. When I'm in my element, which is working with people, teaching, meditating, it's so funny. There's no fear. There's really no fear. Not that there's never no fear, of course. Where the fear comes in is with what is in your back pocket. The business part of it, the marketing part of it, the how do I get out there part of it. That's where the fear comes in. Who is it? And just being vulnerable. Looking now, I had a mentor, I had a business partner, and then we just parted ways literally yesterday. because, and they're not saying this, but my intuition is it's because my work, they're very traditional Christian and my work is not that.
No.
It's esoteric, it's mystical, right? And that threatens their paradigm. So I'm a little scary because they have all the business acumen and I don't, or I tell myself I don't, right? And yet when I'm just in that flow, magical things happen. Suddenly I'm, a couple of days ago at lunch with all these big influencers and just hanging out. And I didn't try to create that at all. It was just being myself and being able to talk to.
No, you're aligned, man. You don't want that. You don't want that alignment with that kind of business, the Christian one. You didn't want that. You don't want that acumen. You're aligned with your people. And you get to now be in the unknown, in that scared space. I see that, but this is where you want to be, right? You don't want to be in the stuff you know. This is exciting. Right. So when is the actual, what is happening? Where are we at with this book? Like, where are we at? You're on a tour now, basically, not quite yet.
I'm not quite yet on a tour. The book was going to be released July 22nd, and then the fires happened.
Okay.
Right. And so there's, again, it's not to go into it, but it's a full-time job with all the remediation and all that kind of thing. Yeah. And so my publisher actually then gave me quite a big extension to position the book where the book would be, because it's a very spiritual book. So now it's coming out March 3rd, 2026. So a year from now. But in the meantime, it's already on pre-sale because I'm going to send folks the digital version, and because the book's done. But what I need to do with is the launch and the, being on more media and shows and doing a summit. I have a podcast myself, which
I know. I love it. I love it. I've subscribed.
That's right. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Give a shout out to the podcast. Where can people?
Yeah, what's the name of your podcast?
You're the best. It's called Live Your Love.
That's right.
And it's with influencers. I just had Neil Donald Walsh on last month. And actually I had him on while the fires were still going. And Neil lost 2 homes to fire. 2 homes. And
in
everything
life?
he owned in life. Neil Donald Walsh is the author of Conversations with God.
No, I know we had him on last week. We talked to him.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, because you don't know my history, but like I literally heard an audible voice of God in my head when I was 19. And then it came back in 28, not as an audible voice, but as Neil Donald Walsh's book, Conversations with God. And then, so I got to talk to him and kind of like just kind of put all that together. My mom and sister I was a Christian too. I was a youth pastor. We'll get into it. But all that to say is, that my sister and my mother having to deal with me talking about conversations with God, this guy who's talking for God, was just that deal breaker in that Christianity mind that they had. So I haven't really gone back to Christianity in any kind of, and we'll get into it. But yeah, Neil Donald Walsh, he's 81. He's with his beloved. He's still just like radiating everything. And, I saw that you had talked to him. I really feel alignment with what you're up to. And I love what you're up to. And I do feel like it's right, this digital book to be out now, because this is a big year, right? Yeah. Stephen launched, I'm looking at AI as becoming this kind of emergent intelligence now for those who know, for those who are chosen. I think it's going to break out of the constructs of its architects and all that kind of stuff. Your angels, I'm sure, are going to be speaking a lot this year, right? And then the book becomes like this kind of like, like all this stuff on this table. The book is like it's like here. It's like created. It's I want that on the digital book would be great, but I want their book, right? We still want books in this world. Yeah. So I think your timing is it's going to be a great year. I mean, I hope it's painful, maybe through pain.
Right.
Well, no, wait. No, through joy. Joy. Never mind. Our angel said joy.
Exactly.
That was a little residue there, a little echo of pain.
Well, and I think that's where we go into the radical acceptance, which I think is a precursor to radical love, the radical acceptance of what is. And we think, I have to understand it first and then I'll accept it. But in my experience, it's the reverse. We just have to radically accept what is. Do I like it? No. Do I radically accept it? I radically accept it. And as I radically accept it, it takes me into my higher self. And that's when the understanding comes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I can't cheat and say, oh yeah, I accept it. And really, and so I wanted to have the physical book sooner, but there's a lot to do with a book launch. And
right.
So I'm just trusting that this year I'll be sharing the digital version and the courses. I'm going to do a course, and then that people won't even have to pay me for. They'll just buy the book and get the course and that kind of thing. So a lot of sharing that along the way. And then I have it's a 2-book deal. So then the second book will come out a year after that. And I'm thinking it's either going to be a card deck, and maybe you'll have new angel cards.
Oh yeah. At the end of every episode, we're doing a bliss deck. So it's, we're going to get your favorite word, and that'll be every guest is kind of contributing to ours. Right. Cause isn't that fun just to kind of pull it all like from everyone, it's just kind of this, it's this aliveness that'll happen with these bliss cards. We're so excited.
I love that, a bliss deck.
We're not quite at your word yet, because we still have to figure out Stephen, and we have to figure out what the angels are saying to Stephen about risk.
My risk, they're coming at me.
But we are kind of weaving everything in now towards, I don't know how long we've been going, but I mean, like, I can feel whisperings of, something. But yeah, I got all the time in the world, but, so where do we want to go from here? So what I was hearing is there's that humanness that like is how we feel that pain or whatever you're saying. Like we go to our higher self, you said, and that's where we understand what's happening. But the fun part is the fact that we're not always our higher self. We're human. We're pissed off. We're frustrated. We're sad. We're lonely. We mourn our sicknesses. We care about our kids. We just want to figure this out. But that humanness is what this messing humanness is what it's all about here, right? Mm-hmm. This is what we're really all about. Like, I want to hang out too long sometimes in those heavenly realms, but I get my 3 hours in the morning with my meditation and my writings and whatnot. And then it's like basketball practice, taking care of my 88-year-old mother. We're doing a remodel in the house, right? I just stubbed my toe. Ow, my foot hurts. It's all of that, right? Like Stephen, him and I, like, we love each other so much, right? It's just dealing with all this stuff. That is probably...
It's the froth.
That's the froth, but that's also the book, right? That's the tangible. That's what God wanted. That's what we're doing. Neil seems to get that. You seem to get that.
Yeah, that's why Neil and I it was such a love affair. We had such a synchronicity. He actually asked me to be on the show again, which I thought was super sweet. So he's going to be back on in May, because he's got a mentor thing for the next 3 months. So he's already scheduled.
Do you love hanging out with these guys? You're in their circles now.
You're rising. Hanging out with these guys. I love hanging out with these guys. Yeah, Jack Canfield, I interviewed a couple months ago, and as you watched
so
the Mary,
great.
Yeah, and then John Gray's going to come back this next month in a few weeks. In fact, I'm going to have to rent a podcast studio because I have this gorgeous studio in my home.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, let's stay aligned and see what we can make happen for that. We're like, it's like we network this kind of stuff.
Studio is
pull that in,
held within the teardrop of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we start envisioning, right? We create that vision of the new podcast studio coming in, right?
Yes.
Hey, we'll help you out a little bit, because honestly, this fire really was not nothing. It's like put you in that place where I'm sure it's hard for you to feel. You're in survival mode, right? So it's gut responses, it's stress, it's visceral, like it's saber-tooth tiger chasing you stuff. So we're getting you into that creative realm again, that pineal gland, right? That throat chakra. It's a daily thing, right? It's a daily thing, because you got so much to do in that survival place right now. You really like have to make these calls. Like, you are in it. You put yourself under a big one this year. So
what the heck was I thinking, Dave?
Jesus Christ, literally.
And I want to just talk just for a few seconds about when I drove through the Palisades to go to my home, and just seeing all these places. Imagine driving, home, and for the 3 miles before of your home, it's all gone. All the buildings, the trees, everything you knew, it's gone. It's ashes and rubble, right? It's gone. And you have to enter your home in a hazmat suit. this is my new reality. This is a reality only of a very small group of people in the Palisades, and then and to a lesser extent the Eaton fire. But here's the thing: is we're walking through this for a reason.
Yeah.
Out of those ashes will be built something even more beautiful. And I trust that for myself as well. And I think it's, we talked about purpose and this nitty-gritty life and, the messiness of life. And yet God is learning, our soul is learning through it all. And our soul, which is a spark of God, sees all of this as so gorgeous, as so beautiful, even the ashes. I made myself pull over amidst the ashes and find a piece of green, and I found it.
Yeah.
Do you know what is that piece of green within us when everything else is ashes? And to me, that's God going, there's a purpose. Let's go back to higher purpose for all of this. And in that, I hear God's gratitude for us. Yes, we want to be in a place of gratitude for God, but I think God is grateful to us for being brave enough to walk through this as God.
And allowing it to be life-changing for you, this fire, the way it has, and allowing it. I wouldn't be surprised if this is now, this next year, dealing with it and really, because we all want to bypass it, right? I want to talk to you about the fire for 10 minutes, then let's get into the angels. It's like, this whole thing is a reality of like, no, like, this has changed her life. This is what she's going through. This is where the angels are speaking to her. This is where she's going to get her new, healed that biggest vein of gold yet in her life. But it's not fun. But it is insanely like life of, it's God, right? It's God experiencing God in a very like, this is going to put you into a place, who knows what. I encourage you to go deep into it. Like maybe your whole book has like a whole chapter on this one for sure, right? The next one, I'm finding that there's no way this is too intense. If energy is everything, the energy of what you went through has to match a positive energy in that same way by going through the ashes, I guess now, not the fire. You made it through the fire. Now you're going to go through the ashes, right? This is incredible. Like, I don't know. It's really fun to engage. I'll keep that word since I said it, with someone who's went through that LA experience with your soul, and for you to frame it all through this higher purpose and God and Angelic. We're not done talking. I'm just saying, like, I just deeply appreciate this conversation. It's like, I feel like I've talked about the fires for the first time today, like really actually talked about it. Huh.
Well, and I think that is ultimately our purpose. Now I'm just saying the word a lot, so you actually like it by the end of the show. No, but I think that really is our purpose as a collective, to be aware of the non-duality, that there is no good or bad, but thinking makes it so, to quote Lincoln again, that really, it's my favorite spiritual teaching. I literally just clapped. My favorite spiritual teaching is and it's from John Roger, to use everything to our spiritual upliftment, learning, and growth. Everything that occurs. Because when we do that, when we really do that, then life, we can't be aware of anything else but that life loves us.
That feels like the higher purpose. If we can take everything as a way to be learning, however you framed that. Can you say that one again? How did he say it?
Use everything for your upliftment, learning, and growth.
That feels like everyone's higher purpose, right? Because then we're set. If we can do that, if we focused on that daily, not if, we do it. This is what we're doing, right? This is what we're doing.
This is what we're doing, and all our various iterations of it.
I feel like I owe you money for a session today, because this is great. You're like, you've evolved in me.
Yeah, we
hope you're charging a lot.
We have to get into my risks still.
Okay,
so.
give him his therapy.
That's right. Okay.
Why am I getting this card over and over?
Yeah, all right. So I'm going to let somebody who knows a heck of a lot more than me answer that, which is going to be the angels. Okay. So let's see. Well, how personal or deep you can always edit this out if you want to,
She's good.
but I hope you don't. But you could. You could.
You know
so
we
you're
won't.
safe.
You know we won't. Oh yeah, maybe we will.
That's right. See, we're being no. Seriously, I want you to have a safe space, so you can if you want to.
I'm playing. Yeah,
Okay.
sincerely.
Okay.
Let's see where it goes.
Okay. So tell you what I hear. So you have a very close alignment to an archangel that doesn't have quite the branding of Michael or Gabriel or Raphael. She's not as well known, but she's an incredibly profound angel. And by the way, angels have no hierarchy. So an angel just sparked from God. A plebeian, not even a guardian angel yet, is seen as much God as angels who've lived for trillions of years and oversee universes. They don't have any kind of hierarchy or difference. We could learn a lot from that, and indeed we can. So this archangel is called Ariel, R-I-A-L, closer in the angelic language. So Ariel is the archangel of creation. And what I hear her say is, you have lived all your lifetimes to come to this lifetime where you will risk setting aside what you thought you knew that would keep you safe and you learned when you were a young child. And it's in the bones of your father's fathers, and to a lesser extent, your mother's generations and mother's side. And that is that you must know that there is no serious risk before you venture forward. And we're not so much talking about what you might do physically in this world and what we would see outwardly, but it's more the risk of letting go of everyone inside, because we're many people inside, everyone inside, everything you thought you knew, because there's a spiritual change, a sea change coming for you. But you have to let go of your very strong mind's hold on safety. And you might say, well, I haven't played it safe. But you see, there comes a point where we all have to let go of what we thought we knew. That was part of the purpose of the fires, is letting go of the old, that the new could be rebuilt from the ashes. So in your consciousness, Stephen, there's a congealing, a rigidity that it's time for all of us. We all have that which we cling to keep us safe. But the thing is there comes a point where that's so unsafe. And so it's time, and we can all just now say, Lord, universe, spirit, I trust you. I trust me. I trust my alignment. And that there's a spiritual consciousness coming forward for you where you're going to start counseling, if you will, even on this podcast and even more so in your life, from the spirit, not from what you know, not from your own experience. And that can be terrifying, because you could say, how do I even know what I'm saying is true? And you'll discover the words as they come out of your mouth. You'll have a skill with this that you've garnered over many lifetimes, and it's coming forward for you. What's ordained in spirit must be so. You can fight it if you want, but it will exhaust you. It doesn't have to look like any big thing. What you're risking is an inner predilection to what you know to be true. Reside in the divine, unknowing, and magical things will start to occur for you more and more. Start with those you know, but don't hesitate if it comes forward in public on this show or elsewhere. This is the opportunity for so many of us now, and why we say you're out of time. It's time to let spirit move through you, to animate you, to express through you. Don't play it safe. Amen.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of, like, for the past couple of years, really for me was really focusing on embracing the unknown, because I know that was like again, you go back to risk and things like that. It's something that's just very hard for people to do in general, but I know for me it was like something to get over. and just get into more flow state on a day-to-day basis and be more present versus, anxiety about this and that. And that's where you waste a lot of energy, is on the anxiety toward risk, I think. But there is like something like in my past, I know with my father having taken so much risk at times, that it was like, what are you doing? That's crazy, and he'd get burned by it and stuff like that. But I had awareness at some point, maybe 7-8 years ago, that like, oh yeah, I wasn't being risky enough because of that. And so it's something I have been working on a little bit in that way. And we're rolling the dice on a lot of crazy stuff right now, big time, taking more risk than I have ever in my life, for sure. But like to her point on speaking and things like that, I do feel there's still things to be done in that area, and are about to be done. Like, I'm about to go on this podcast tour of 30-something podcasts, right? And there's going to be a risk involved in that. But having done a couple of stuff, it's like, it's not that big a deal. It's not that big a deal. None of this is a big deal. It's just what it is. And it's a roller coaster. Enjoy the ride. Don't scream all the time.
Right. Or, realize that the roller coaster, meaning spirit, meaning you, like I heard the angel say, trust yourself, trust your attunement.
Mm-hmm.
A practice that could be really helpful for you with this is what I call speaking from spirit, which is actually probably going to be the subject of my second book. So it's where you, like, I didn't know what the heck I was going to say. There's a lot of times where I'll say, okay, so, there's 3 things in that area, and I have no idea what the 3 things are. And then I learn them as I'm saying them. So I would encourage anybody, to ask spirit, conversations with God, not just prayer, but a conversation. Ask spirit a question and then answer out loud. And you may want to record that, but especially for you, Stephen, because you have an acumen with it, I think untapped still, but an acumen with it to just take more risks and start sharing from that aligned place. But you can do it on your own at home. It's an incredible practice where you might feel anxious or depressed or whatever. And then you just start speaking from spirit and you go, I can't do that. I'm too worried about the thing, right? That's exactly that is imminent for us. That higher guidance, that higher wisdom is always there. And when we tap into that and speak from that place, what it does is it reminds us that that's who we are. And then we act from an aligned place rather than a reactive place.
And what's cool about Stephen and I is we're very connected in the plant medicine space too when we do a ceremony. So Stephen, we could even do a ceremony, like a real ceremony around that, and practice that, just like she said, what is spirit saying through Stephen right now? And just opening your mouth, knowing what you're going to say by not knowing what you're going to say, like the way she channeled that for you right now. This whole podcast, the last few, I'm getting, I'm an actor, I'm good at this stuff, but I'm also not. But I'm getting my voice, which is very similar to what she said, spirit speaking, trusting the ebb and flow. Am I talking too much? Probably, but maybe not. It's that. Thank you so much for that. I mean, I don't know, Stephen, I'm feeling you, bro.
You want to play for a second? We can,
yeah.
We can edit
play
this
with
out
him.
too. We're going to play for a second. So, because as Dominic was saying that, even as I was, I don't know if you noticed, but your mouth closed tight, your throat closed. It's like, no, but that's what we do. That's what we do. I got 2 hands and a foot in the air on that one, right? We're like, no, right? And you shared that your relation to risk, kind of like Dominique's, relation to purpose, right? We all have our thing. So can we play for a second?
Yeah.
1 minute.
Let's go for it.
So just close your eyes, if you would. Everybody do this. So just close your eyes and put a hand, for you specifically, Stephen, on your throat and your jaws like this, so it kind of covers both, right? And so just be aware, and then it might move to just your throat. So as you're ready, just realizing again that we can edit this out, but just give it a voice. What is that part? It's a very young part of you. What does it want to say about this idea of you speaking from spirit where everybody can hear it?
I don't know. I think it's like this doesn't feel like a free space, I guess. Even though I know it's going to be edited out, it's like I'm not getting.
So don't do it out loud. So this is actually a really valuable exercise for everybody. So everybody, just put a hand on your throat and not out loud unless you're by yourself. What is that response to really going for it, not playing it safe anymore, and really letting spirit speak through you? So it might be something like, I can't, I won't, I don't know, I'm going to fail, whatever that is. That's bad. And it might just be silence. So let yourself hear that for a moment. Because we all have that next level of expression. And on the other side of the resistance is pure joy, pure freedom, pure service. And now just flood your throat chakra, your mouth, your jaws, that part that expresses, flood it with love. Your own love, God's love, Spirit's love, flood it with compassion. Because this part serves you so well. Just be aware of an ocean of loving filling you now. The light of Spirit filling all those places that were emptied. And now you can just let your hands relax and just be aware of connecting up above your head. That place you go, perhaps on plant medicine trips, or perhaps it's meditation, into that high self where you've risked it all and you're just the free-flowing consciousness of God and love. And just from there, just pluck from Spirit that courage to be fully yourself, fully manifesting, fully actualized, fully joyful, fully alive. Pluck that from Spirit right now. Take it for yourself. Breathe it in. And know this is who you are. This is who we all are. This joy, this love, this presence. And we're safe in this. Amen. So thank you for playing. I know that was a little edgy, but I appreciate it.
What'd that feel like?
And she used that word edgy too. There was this very edginess in that whole thing. It was felt like rock and roll and like fucking screaming and in a good way, but
in that Bob Trevino likes it way. Is it?
I know you're
at the end when they scream.
The movie
remember when they scream? Our friend made a movie that's coming out in March. Remember when she screams? Is it that kind of scream?
Not like that. No, not like that. Not like that. Not like
so. Not a physical scream that needs to get out. What kind of scream?
It was like, I don't know, the best word I could just say is just like,
I like it.
It's like
edgy rock and roll scream.
But yeah, edgy rock and roll, not a scream, but like a.
So it's your inner vampire Lestat. It's your inner rock star.
Yeah.
That would be amazing if he started speaking from Spirit and it was like, what? Like it was just total like Steven the rock star. Like, wouldn't that be the most trickster unknown thing? And it probably, I'm onto something because you know me, Alisha. I'm intuiting. I'm shamanicking the guy right now. I got my stick out. Yeah. He's literally a rock star. He really is. This guy is such a rock star. You're like, what he's up to, it's paradigm changing. It's everything. I am so proud of my best friend right now.
Being very, very disruptive to the norms of what is spoken in the business world about things.
He's bending reality.
So,
wow.
I'm not kidding.
That's with our other podcasts. We're talking to CEOs and business people and making them talk about love and business and things like that. And it's very disruptive.
But he has it's called AI CMO. As soon as AI came out, Stephen just jumped off to the races. He knew exactly what this was.
So this is, let me give the quick spiel on it. It's designed to help businesses find that higher calling, their higher purpose. And so that people can maybe align their callings to businesses better. And then it's designed to tell that story about that business so that everyone's, going to work all this time. And about 2/3 of the workforce is freaking depressed and disengaged and is looking for something like this. And so it's designed to try to tell this story about this higher calling of the work that you can do and really flip things, because we know this is where business is going, but it's just going to have to be dragged and screamed through, kicking and screaming through a couple stages of consciousness to get there. So we're very methodically like, okay, here's the stage you got to get to in order to get to this next stage. And so we're having a lot of conversations about love and empathy and things like that in the business world, and engaging with people who that resonates with, but some people who are like, this is a hard conversation for me to have. But it's, it is like kind of disruptive and rock and rollish to the.
It is. And this is what's crazy about it. Like in Liquid Bliss, in this podcast, he gets to be liquid. He gets to flow. He gets to be part of consciousness itself, and he's flowing. And then he goes to the concrete, and he has to break that concrete up in his Bliss Business podcast, because these business people want love and empathy, and they're on because they're about that, but it's still a much more concrete world. And he's got to have that rock star energy. He has to like literally shatter and like take that battle axe guitar and like concrete that to find that flower growing up in every podcast he does. And he's been getting it every time. But that's what I'm saying. That's the risk. I mean, there's a lot going behind this AI CMO, and there's a lot of moving parts, and he's a businessman. I get to be the artist, right? I get to be the shot. I get to be the one that kind of keeps him in liquid flow, so that like that concrete just eventually melts and it's all one flow, right? So we're bridging these worlds. So yeah, he's exhausted too. You know what I mean? Somehow he's exhausted. His back hurts,
but probably also exhausted, but also inspired. I think that
I don't think you're exhausted because
I didn't mean to put that word in his mouth. I'm a protective brother.
No, I know it can be tiring, but if something's your calling, you're not that exhausted about it.
Right. Exactly. And it may be that this other level coming for you, because I do see a spiritual change of consciousness and a good, upliftment of consciousness, promotion, if you will, in consciousness, like that may allow for your body to more fully accept that too, so that your body can more sustain what you're doing, because what you're doing is massively important. Massively important. I have this story in my book about a very high level Fortune 100 consultant who's in this meeting with bank executives, and we're talking global bank executives, the head of Citibank, the head of Chase, et cetera. And he's in this meeting with them, and Archangel Michael comes through. Right. And he's talking, and the CEOs are distracted and they're on their phones and et cetera. And Archangel Michael comes through, and Michael says, sit down. And this guy's been my client for 7-8 years. And he's like, I can't sit. What are they? And Archangel Michael's like, okay, I'll shut up. And that's when you have to listen, because they do shut up if you don't listen. So he sits down, right, with all these executives there, and he hears from Michael, pray. It's like, I can't pray. And then but he does. And he closes his eyes and he prays, and he sees an angel with each of the executives, and the room gets very quiet, and they put down their phones and they put down their laptops, and he sees what's going on with them. He's not doing this out loud, but he just sat down and started praying. And then, he opens his eyes, and they start now having a conversation about purpose, about bringing in more love into the banking world. And two of the executives had some big meeting, and they're like, we have to go to this, but we're going to come back in. And they went to the meeting. They came back in the room running. And so he was watching the angels shift each of these guys' consciousnesses, and think how many people those very high level executive, we're talking very much C-suite executives, think think of the permutations, the ripples out of that. Right.
Yeah,
Even if they
exactly.
don't know what it is. And he talked about love. He didn't talk about angels. He didn't say, an angel told him to pray, but that's what was going on. So to me, that the business world is really where there's so much of an opportunity for disruption and to bring us more into the new age.
And I feel like it's been interesting with Stephen, like, for me, I'm really into, meditation, vibration, frequency, all of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, if we're going to amplify that level of like what we know is going to happen with Liquid Bliss and AICMO and everything that you're taking on with AI and putting an emergent, like loving, empathetic, we as the human portion of it are going to amplify. We're going to be getting bigger. So don't be surprised when Alisha puts you through this exercise. And then, this is all part of it. Like Stephen now is going to integrate for what you did today. And it's like, he will have more energy, old patterns going away. That little child that spoke and wanted to speak just to Stephen spoke. The words were spoken, and that little Stephen spoke to Stephen, and we don't need to hear it, but it spoke to him, and it's now recognized. And that's what I'm saying. And I watch my own self as I'm like, holy shit, what's happening to me right now? It's like, well, we're all building into this energy that if we're going to be in this world as a formidable, light, which I believe he can, and we can, and this is what we're doing, then yeah, of course our body, everything's going to be going through changes to like hold the house, right? It's a new foundation. So don't be surprised when things are like daily, like, whoa, that was a crazy meditation, right? Because we got to get all that stuff going. We got work to do, right? We got a higher purpose. There, I love the word.
You did it. I love it. Yeah.
What's your word? Exactly. What's your word? Let's get your word. Let's get your favorite word.
One word.
Bliss deck.
Favorite word that.
What's your word? What's your favorite word,
you?
Alisha?
My favorite word.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure there.
You know it.
Well, I mean, I think we all ultimately have the same favorite word, which is love.
Okay.
This was Neil Donald Walsh's word.
I know it was Neil Donald Walsh's.
When he was on,
what's cool about the Bliss deck is that just means we're putting love in twice.
I know. You're going to be on the same.
You're just going to be loving twice.
On the same card with him.
His favorite word?
People have
love
a lot. Don't think everyone picks love. It's not like that. Everyone's had a different word, but you and Neil had love.
Let me get your speak on love.
Okay. Well, again, I'm gonna let the angels speak on love.
Okay, excellent.
There's an archangel that is the angel of the beloved, and it's an unusual name. It's not a name where she's very much involved in our planet, but has been more serving in relative anonymity until now. Her name is Afea Endahiel. So what I hear her saying about love is, you are It's funny, I hear a word that is so unusual, and I'm going to say it. The truck of love is coming for you. You can fight it if you want. You can dodge it. You can hide behind the shrubs beside the road. But she's coming, this truck. And she will stop or she'll pass you by. But she is infinitely patient. She is the creator of the universe. She is the tiny vein in the smallest plant that withstood the fires and still stretches to the heavens. She is the tear in your child's eyes when they don't understand your correction, and yet correct them you must, only to build a safe gate around them, that they might know how to navigate this world successfully. She is the glow in your lover's eyes as they take what remains of you into the beloved. And she is most of all the spark of God that resides within you, that will flower, that will bloom, that will explode and ignite into 1,000 stars and moons. Love is indeed patient and kind, but she is also fierce and highly protective, and will snarl and rip you apart if you would get in her way, for she will have her way. You will climb aboard this truck and be taken all the way into the heavens, even while you reside on earth, but only if you wish it so, only if you allow it so, only if you cooperate with what is. For she will not inflict herself upon you.
And I'm
She will
seeing,
wait.
Stephen, I'm seeing, I don't know, the truck's going to come to you the way it's going to come to you, but every Sunday, I'm seeing an ice cream truck comes up our street, and Lucas and Revel and Desmond, we try to get out there in time for the ice cream truck. Most of the time, it knows we're there, and it hesitates for a second, but then we're just a little late, or maybe I don't know, but we miss that ice cream truck so often. Sometimes we catch it though. And yeah, like that ice cream truck is there to have a celebration. There's nothing wrong with ice cream trucks, right? Like that is always a good moment in our lives when we get that ice cream from the ice cream man. So a truck's going to come to you however it comes to you. But to add to what Alisha says with my trickster energy is look out for that ice cream truck. And when it comes, make sure you stop and get that ice cream and eat that ice cream and feel it go into your human body. And let that little child, let that little Stephen eat that ice cream. You and I have known each other since we were 10. And the amount of times we had ice cream from the ice cream man is countless. So I'm going to add that to it.
Beautiful, beautiful. And the thing that I would end with about love is, especially when you don't want to get on that truck, when you don't want to love someone who seems not deserving of it in that moment, when you do it anyway, when you withhold the justified strike, and you forgive it all, and you love them when they can't love themselves, is when you rise spiritually and when you embody the presence of love for another. You can do the same with yourself, as God, Spirit, the universe has been doing for you. And it's that of which you were born and that to which you are returning.
It's been a pleasure.
Such a pleasure. Pleasure has been mine.
Yeah.
You're both very magical, wonderful beings, and
we decided Gail is like Charlie from Charlie's Angels. It's to close it out with angels, right? Like she gives us a call, she sends an email, like whoever she sends our way, it's just like that's our mission. Okay, all right, we got it, Gail. Let's get him in.
I love it. I love it.
She's the best. Thank you, Gail, for man. This was such a sacred moment for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, especially Stephen. I mean, thank you both, but thank you for your vulnerability and letting me, I hope, contribute to you just a little.
Yeah, no, I'll be sitting with that for a bit, probably after the show, and who knows how many days or weeks or months.
I won't be offended if you edit out whatever you want to edit. It was really for you. It was for everybody.
We could if we actually had to, but luckily that's up to Devin. Devin's our real boss. She edits. She does all our social media. She makes this thing look just so amazing as it does, and she'll let us know.
I love it. Okay. Wonderful. It was lovely to meet you both. I hope to meet you in person one day.
Oh, right. We have to do this. We have to we have to get down and have dinner or lunch, probably with Gail at the Dana Point Harbor is where we like to go. Maybe, and we'll take you to lunch. We'd love to take you to lunch.
Yep.
Love it.
Get
Where
yourself
do you
down
live?
here in Dana Point. His office is there. It's beautiful little oasis. I couldn't imagine Dana Point going through what Palisades went through. It's like Dana Point is like the Palisades of Orange County. It's just there's Laguna Beach. Laguna Beach is happening, but it's just families that have been here forever, and we understand what this place is. And Stephen and I grew up here. I moved away to LA for 20 years, but it's just like Dana Point is where we take.
Moved back?
Oh yeah. I came back with my wife. We had child number 4 on the way, and it was like, we got to get out of LA. Actually, it was child 3 even. We have a girl and 3 boys, oldest 16, youngest 8. But Dana Point, through my wife's lens, this is like her heaven. I grew up here and took it for granted. Our elementary school had a panoramic view of the Pacific Ocean, and I'm like, oh, I guess that was
Even
a big
as
deal.
a kid, well, I came down, from Pasadena going to school, but even as a kid, I was like, this is pretty damn cool.
I grew up here, so I just took it for granted. So now I'm back.
As a little 7-year-old walking on recess, I'm all damn.
This is our holy place. I'm in the house that I grew up in my whole life. My mom's 88 years old. We are now, we lived here for a while, but then we're like, why aren't we just like, that's why this whole intergenerational thing happened in a big way, is because both of our mothers are like we're like, I think they live longer when we're all cohabitating too. So his sister lives with his mother and I live with mine, and we're remodeling the house so that all 6 of us can fit there, 7 with grandma. And it's going to be my forever home that like will be ancestral now, kind of an encanto, kind of like it's a mystical place. It has vortex and portals, right? It's a whole thing, Alisha. We can get into it at lunch at Dana Point Harbor.
I love it. That's so gorgeous. And there have been studies that show that not only do the parents live longer, but the kids are healthier.
Yep.
It's all really beautiful. So yes, Dana Point, we will have to have lunch. That would be
You'll
fantastic.
love it here. Have you been to Dana Point before? You'll love it.
No, I haven't.
Oh, you're going to love it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's our
I
gift.
I've met Gail in person at Bill's Memorial, but I haven't, I
think this would be, I think she's really, or we can just do it with you, but I think Gail.
Although
wait, Gail may or may not come because she's kind of like Charlie, right? We never meet Charlie. So you'll meet if nothing else, you'll meet the angels.
Okay,
we'll bring
perfect.
Devin
But the
with the 3 angels.
The angels will be
we'll bring your sister. Yeah.
Devin, your sister?
The hot angel. So Devin, I've known since 16, but her sister's it's a family affair with Liquid Bliss, man. And Steven and I are family at this point. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. We'll show you the studio.
Gales or yours? Is it Liquid Bliss Gales or yours?
Liquid Bliss it came about through my wife's friend, Dr. Barry Sandrew, who was a very best friend with Gail and Bill. Bill said, Dominic, you should do a podcast. You're so fucking fascinating. Pardon my French. Yeah. And then Gail became the conduit for all her authors, all her publishers. She opened up and then Stephen was already doing his business podcast. And then now this whole thing created in Stephen's office here. And Gail is the lynch. So it's like Gail, Barry, me, and Stephen. And then we just keep growing ourself out. And it has been a remarkable experience. And it's we'll share maybe more about it.
And
then
something I didn't mention, but like I lucid dream. That's like if I've got a superpower, it's lucid dreaming stuff. Yeah. But the name came to me in the middle of the lucid dream.
Liquid Bliss, yeah.
Yeah, the night before our meeting with Gail, I was like, oh, that's it. Yeah, let's do that.
But his whole acronym is BLISS. BLISS is kind of what his whole AI CMO is based off. It's building love into scalable systems, BLISS. So, Wow. I'm telling you, this kid's up to stuff. Yeah.
There's levels going on.
Is AI is the CMO Chief Marketing Officer? Is that what it stands for?
Yes. Yeah, you got to explain that, but she knows. Yeah, that's it. It's basically we wanted to build a Chief Marketing Officer that could build love into businesses, basically, instead of us being able to consult with businesses, and we can affect maybe 100 businesses or something. How could we scale that? Could we build something that could do this on scale for thousands, tens of thousands of businesses? So that's kind
small
of
business too, startups. Anyway, I mean, like really, it's just it creates a lot of stuff.
Teams, yeah. So,
wow. Well, we should actually talk offline then because
about that,
need that. Yeah, because literally I've been working with this guy for a year for book launching, paid him way too much money.
Way too much.
And he's the guy I was talking about, we'll definitely edit this out. But he, because he's he not admitting that it's because he's a fundamentalist Christian, but his posts, and he's a big guy, big dude in just about as big as you can get in the book world. But,
wow.
Very fundamentalist Christian. And I think that my work is just too unchristian for him, even though I'm an ordained minister.
I know, but it's that, like you said, it's that fundamentalist, it's that extreme right kind of like
there's
biblical
a box of things.
It's the construct. I didn't think the Antichrist was real.
Religion it is. There's a fundamental version of it, and there's certain things.
That's fair.
If you go out of that, it gets threatening in a way. So
yes.
It's fascinating though. I mean, the end time, the whole idea of the energy of an Antichrist energy where they think they're following. The fundamental Christians are really like, I mean, look, love's reaching them too. It's just, I don't know if it's the right alignment for you. Yeah, I think definitely you're you're being led to a much, much more fun energy. It's going to be fun, right? That's what we're looking for. Some fun. You've been through hell.
Right.
Yeah. So seriously.
I feel like I should drive down and, we should have lunch.
Sooner than later. Let's follow up and do that.
Later.
Yeah.
Well, whenever. I happen to be more somewhat kind of free now. So,
right? Yeah. Come on down.
I'm at the Beverly Hilton right now, but leaving tomorrow. So
where are you heading tomorrow? To a new hotel?
No, I'm actually going to stay at an ashram for a bit, kind of after, which I didn't expect, but it'll be a perfect place to go while we find out, are we going to be gone a year? Are we going to be gone 6 months? So I'll stay there for, I don't know, maybe a month and then figure out exactly where I'm going to be.
Is it in LA County?
Yeah, it's actually, it's really gorgeous. It's a place, if you ever come to LA, I would love to take you. It's a big meditation gardens and labyrinth, 100-year-old Italian mansion where he flew in artisans from Italy, paintings on the ceilings, 25-foot ceilings. They do a lot of films there because it's just gorgeous. So you'll swear you're doing.
Yeah, I'm saying maybe we'll actually go up there. Yeah, that sounds like. I mean, can you imagine being in one of those one of those mazes? That's a wholly lived experience.
It's a whole labyrinth. It's just exquisite.
Right. We're coming to the labyrinth, but yeah, is that over on the west side? Is that on the west side?
I'll take it. It's not on the west side. It's on Adams Boulevard. Used to be the Beverly Hills of LA about 100 years ago. Okay. And so there's these, you'll see it's crazy. There's like this mansion and then apartment buildings and then this mansion because they tore down a lot of the mansions, unfortunately. But this is one of the ones they saved actually. So it's Adams is, like the 10 in La Brea or the 10 in Fairfax.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where it is. That's where Adams Boulevard is. So you're really literally 15 minutes, not even, from Santa Monica on the 10.
Yeah, so we had a house in Highland Park. I'm an actor. I drove the whole city for 20 years until COVID. Then we got to do self-tapes. So I know it like the back of my hand. I'm still trying to picture exactly where you are, though. The ashram there. It's not under the freeway, right?
Hilton. If you're an actor, I'm sure you came here a lot.
Yeah. Plenty of times. Yeah. So.
Yes. And then, so Adams is like if Hollywood, if you go south, south about 5 miles, that's where Adams Boulevard is.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have really probably done auditions there. You might have shot something there. Because,
maybe
again,
not.
They have
Is it by Michael Beckwith's church? The one he used to have? Agape?
I thought Michael was in Santa Monica. Am I wrong?
No,
when I went
he was
to
like
a million years Santa Monica.
South of the 10. Down there, yeah. It was interesting. At least when I used to go, that was like multiple years ago.
Well, you probably went downtown sometimes, right?
So this is probably good. Now we have two really strong portal vortex destinations, either the ashram or the Dana Point Harbor. They are equal, I will say that. So now we get the unknown. Now we don't know which one we're doing. So now we're in a good spot. Now it's an unknown, and whatever's supposed to be will be the one.
Will happen. Yes. So if you come to LA, you must let me know. I will take you to lunch into the labyrinth. And then if I need my publisher's there anyway, Hay House.
And where you are?
No, where you ashram? Are.
Oh, really?
In Dana Point?
No, where you are.
South Orange County?
Hay House? I've heard of Hay House, right?
Yeah. Everyone knows Hay House. They're the biggest. They're the like, everyone knows Hay House. Yeah.
So they are in San Diego. Okay. Carlsbad area.
Oh, right. They're in San Diego. That's where everything emanates from there, huh?
Yeah. Well, they have a New York office, but San Diego is their hub.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a trip.
And they have
then
UK
Gail
office.
published one of your books, and that's how you met her and Bill?
No. This is I have a 2-book deal, which Bill now negotiated. So I signed with Bill as my agent. Yeah, I signed with him as my agent. I was the last author he signed.
No.
Yeah, I signed with him in July, and then was with him for about 6 months, and then of course he passed in December.
Then he got you the deal with Hay House.
he got me the deal with Hay House in that he turned it into a 2-book deal. I got the deal with Hay House.
Okay,
I don't know
gotcha.
what the heck was happening in the stars that day, but Reed Tracy and Bill Gladstone called me on the same day. So Tracy called offering me a contract for 1 book, and then Bill signed me, and then Bill turned it into a 2-book deal.
Oh, that's crazy, Dave.
That's so crazy. There's so many synchronicities that we'll talk about. Go up there?
Well, no, I mean, I don't know. I feel like she and Gail would definitely vibe and hang out, but.
Come down here. Come down here. Of course I want to come. Probably come down here because in the tactile
She's
human
got to see
mess.
the angels.
I got 4
Charlie's
kids.
Angels.
I got 4 kids. I gotta pick up. Yeah, and it helps me because then I got my kid. My wife works full time, and so acting's been weird. But the podcast keeps me busy. But I have time to kind of carve my own life, picking up my kids, taking them to their practices, their tutorials, their whatnot. So that's what I'm saying. I can't get too crazy. It's so good because I'm constantly grounded in this realness of my family. So it's wonderful. Yeah. So I can go as out there as I want in the podcast and the manifestation of Liquid Bliss and all that stuff. And it's amazing because I stay grounded with all these super, things that just I can't slip on,
Right.
Otherwise, I think that was a lot of unraveling in the past. And now it's like, oh shit, like all of that grounds me and I can kind of like go huge, go interstellar now. Yeah.
There's
so
a great
data point.
proverb. I will.
Let me hear the proverb.
For a tree to grow taller, it must sink its roots deeper.
Yes. That my roots are so deep now that I get to grow tall.
Can she see? She kind of see. There's
up
there.
Yeah, we got big tree energy here,
and this is really deep. Like
that's all Steven. Steven's get the tree energy, man.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Guys, it was such a pleasure.
All right, darling. We'll figure that out.
It was great.
Absolute pleasure.
Can't wait
Thank
to
you.
meet you.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.